Good morning, my garden friends. Welcome to my kitchen. And it's January 25th, I believe. 1 month past Christmas, only 11 months to go. It's a little chilly here in Florida. I'm in Windermere, Florida. It's 50 degrees this morning, but it's only going up to about 54 or 55, and we're expecting rain and cold to move in. This is our winter, so this is Quaker's Oats morning, and we are both having that. And I was watching another vermiculturalist who feeds her worms oats, and she, I believe, grinds them up, and she might not, but I do. And I just wanted to go over this with you. And in the beginning, I was taking the oats and I was putting them in my grinder. This is a grinder that I use for my eggshells. And it's a neat little grinder. I always forget the name. It's a Cuisinart. And it's just easy peasy. They're, just enough. And it makes almost like a little powder out of it. And then I was adding this, like I was adding my eggshells or coffee grounds or cornmeal to the top when I was doing a feeding. And the problem with this and with the cornmeal that I add was that I was noticing that if I was using it just in my Meals on Wheels, the oblong planters that I have, that the worms were taking down the strawberries, and they were, digesting and decomposing. Everything was going through them, the banana peels, the coffee grounds, etc. But when it came to either the cornmeal or the oatmeal, that it was clumping, and it almost was getting like a rubbery texture. So I was thinking about it this morning, and I thought, because it was cold, I thought, gee, I wonder what would happen if I added hot water to it, like I was making a nice little oatmeal slurry for them. Now, I already did this where I boiled the water. I have 2 cups in here, and I only put in a half a cup of Quaker's Oats, which, if as humans we would do it a half a cup of Quaker's Oats to maybe a cup of water. But I really want this to be kind of like a little slurry. And if you can see that, you can see that you can still see particles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this is going to be the only feeding for the worms. Now, I wouldn't necessarily add this to my can of worms. I guess I could, but because it's a cold day, I want to warm up my guys over here. And let me just put this down a second, and I'll describe this to you again. This friend gave me 2 of these, and they're meant to be an elevated planter. She had them on her porch, and she had plants growing in them, and then she had emitters that were watering them on a regular basis. There's only one hole in this whole thing, and it's right down there. And I actually added a couple coffee filters to the very bottom of this, so that the rainwater that I was giving my plants wouldn't come draining through. And I normally have a coffee container underneath here, one of my empty coffee containers. And so I really wasn't getting much at the bottom. But also I wasn't getting anything really growing here on my back porch because I wasn't getting enough sunlight. So I decided to make this my worm bin, and as an outdoor worm bin, and something that I could just allow some red wigglers to multiply over time. And as you can see, there's a cocoon. I don't know if I see any others. Now this has been inside for days, for a couple days anyway, and then it got warm, and so we took it back outside. You can see some tiny ones over there. But every morning when I get up, I kind of come out here and look at both oblong trays. I've brought both of them in because I don't want the worms to freeze. So I see a little gnat there somewhere. Anyway, what I want to do is just take this. I've let it cool down because, of course, it was at a couple hundred. And let me just check my temperature here. You can see that my ground temperature, soil temperature, is sitting right at about 64 degrees. Let's see what this is. I don't want to. Whoa. Wow, that looks like 110, 100 and still going there. No, about 110. Okay, so we're gonna let this cool off just a little more. And by the way, I do clean everything really well after I do these things because this was rainwater. I mean, I suppose if a human had to drink rainwater, they wouldn't die, but I would really prefer not to. So this will let it cool down just a little bit more. I don't think there's that many worms near the surface here. But to tell you a quick story, I started out with I think it was 2 or 4 worms, and you know, a week or so later, they had multiplied and doubled in size, and over the course of a month or so, they had multiplied again. And so I've been using this to multiply my red wiggler population outside versus inside, and to prove the theory that it doesn't always have to be a can of worms or one of the, that's my can of worms, and you've seen it many times. And I keep my rainwater here so that whenever I add water to it and I wash their little faces, that here, let me just open it up for you and I'll show you. So every morning I come over and I check on them, and I added some bedding, some little bit of shredded cardboard, and you can see there's a couple. I always see 1 or 2. Well, I don't always, but oftentimes I'll see 1 or 2 in the lid, and they just come up for a bit, and then I'll put down some food. I throw in scraps on the daily basis, and they seem to enjoy that. But that's that's the can of worms, and that's the leachate that comes out the bottom. Part of it is their urine, and they actually perspire through their skin, and that's how they rid themselves of their urea. And so, and then it goes back into my pots over my half gallons over here, and then that goes out into my garden. And I could use this as a spray on my plants, but I mainly just water the tree line, you know, the plant line where I think the roots are. So we were having quite a drought, and I saved all these containers. We have kind of a dry month in December, so I had these all full whenever I had we had a nice rain. But anyway, back over here real quick. Let me just test that again and see if we've come down a bit. I think anything under 100. Yeah, I think this will be fine. So what I'm going to do, I'm not actually going to give them anything food-wise, but I'm just going to kind of create a little warm happy spot. And this will add moisture to this soil. This started out being Miracle-Gro potting soil, and I've just been adding eggshells, coffee grounds. Now you can see I'm getting to the mush part. I'll clean that out a little bit better later. But you can see now, that's all I have. I'm just going to kind of work that in. And I think instead of it being almost like a bulk, it's just going to kind of add just something on a cold day. And I would guess that the worms would appreciate this. They're staying inside. It's going to get up to 54 today, but it's going to go back down. And my house is at 68. Oops, there's another. And normally what I do with when I see, I just lost them. Where did you go? Well, when I do see a cocoon, then I just kind of take my finger and push it back in, and so that they stay nice and warm and cozy, along with, there's one. And I just kind of push it back in a little bit. You can see there was a few. That was actually a sweet potato, piece of a sweet potato that the worms didn't want to eat, but it's like it's been trying to grow. And here's one. This was a little tip of a sweet potato, and I tucked it in here. And I thought, okay, we'll let you go. There we are. So I just lost my, oh, there it is. Okay, lost my fork. Let's see, did it bring my soil level, my soil temperature up? Look at that. Raise the soil level, the soil temperature in this little gully, or little valley, to the low 80s. So what do you think? You think if you were a worm and you were sitting there and it was cold and somebody said, hey buddy, come eat some oatmeal and it'll stick to your ribs. And the worms went, what ribs? We have ribs? So moving right along, I think that concludes this demonstration. I was talking to a friend and I said, I can't believe that a couple years ago, if you had said something about raising worms, people would have looked at you like you had that third eye. But now we all seem to be gathering and going, what a really great idea and what a fun project. And in this time of so many problems in our world, this is such a simple hobby. To me, it beats the ant farm. Remember those when you were a kid and they came out with ant farms? This is a worm farm, and I think it's so much more delightful. So garden what you've got. I hope you guys will give this a shot. If you do have worms and you decide you're going to make them a nice hot rolled oats, as we used to call it, Quaker oats, for breakfast, I hope you'll let me know. Take care, everybody, and I hope to talk to you real soon. If you like my channel, I hope you'll subscribe, and I hope to see you back real soon. Bye-bye.